Epic Gaming Night is sponsored by Analog Gamer. Check out analoggamer.com for epic board gaming apparel.
Have you ever bought a board game when your spouse said no? Have you ever won a game on an insane dice roll? Have you ever killed a dragon using only chopsticks? Do you text your friends to distract them from your current moves? Can you finish off a pizza in between your second and third turn? Can you ride a panda across the plains of Dewey? Do you have what it takes to stop an evil wizard from destroying your village? Do you tell your friends to call you Dungeon Master? Can you muster the strength to play one more game after 2 a.m.? Can you be the chosen one all the way up to bedtime? Have you ever dared to say no and pick your best friend's favorite character anyway? Have you ever randomly shouted nonsense because you thought it would be funny, and it wasn't? Well, we haven't done most of those things either, but we are willing to try. Join us as we explore the world of board gaming and all the crazy things that come with it. Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast.
Welcome to the Epic Gaming Night Podcast, a podcast about tabletop games, but mostly board games. I'm your host, Roy Candy, and with me as always is Matt.
Hey.
And Rob.
Hey.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well. How are you doing, kind sir?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good.
That's fantastic.
Do you feel a little bit more rageful than normal?
Actually, I feel more at peace because it came in and I was able to kill a lot of people.
So all the combat has subdued your inner rage?
Yes. Yeah, I feel like I came out of the Lazarus pit for those people that watch Arrow, and I have to kill people every once in a while, and I have kind of quenched that thirst for a couple days. So
nice. Well,
how about you, Matthew?
Well, I mean, you know.
Can you see your toes? Are you looking down? I don't know.
No, well, I've hidden them under my desk. My phone just went off, so I have to be sociable.
No, you don't. You're on a podcast. Millions of people want to know what you're thinking right now.
That exaggeration, though.
That's not exaggeration. I'm putting that out there. The secret, man. You gotta project that stuff. And millions of people. John Cena.
Oh no.
As you say millions, it echoes through the empty hallway. Millions.
How have you been, Roy?
I've been doing awesome, man.
Yeah,
I had to play some
great.
games. Our episode topic for tonight is going to be combat in board games.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But before we get into that, we're going to talk about what we've been playing.
Do you never, Matt?
Pretty much.
It's so bad.
I like pull them up as it happens.
So, are we all going to talk about the same thing?
No.
Rob.
You get to start.
Well, because I can talk about a couple other things.
Well,
if
you
we
start
want to,
with
how
what
about this?
you want to
I
talk
will
about.
talk. I'm pretty sure we're all going to eventually group chat about Blood Rage, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll wait on that. But it was kind of funny. This week was a crazy week for us, but work-wise. But for some reason, in the middle of a flooring job we had going on, I just pulled out Rhino Hero. And so my wife and my brother-in-law, who's a contractor, like put down paintbrushes and we just played Rhino Hero. And it was so random and so fun. We had a blast, and just like the intensity of getting the tower so tall and the hand shaking, and they're making fun of me because I have to use both hands to grab the Rhino and put it down because they're like, why can't you grab it? And I'm like, do you see these fingers? And they put it in there like so far in the back, so it's like real tight. But I never knocked over the tower. But we played Rhino Hero, and then last night at midnight, Halo 5 came out. And I know we're a tabletop game, but so far, 343 Studios and Microsoft have done very good things with Halo. And so when I get off the podcast tonight, I will be back on Halo. And it's just,
I've been playing that a lot, and then I got to play this other game, which we'll talk about.
So if you want Rob's screen name, so you can battle him in that as well, make sure to hit him up on Twitter.
Yes, I don't know if I necessarily want to say it for all the millions of people. I don't want to get in trouble or swatted or something, but I don't do any of that stuff. But I mean, if you put down in my gamer tag, you could find me, couldn't you? Like eventually, couldn't you? I mean, you guys know, you guys are computer people.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't know about finding you through your gamer tag. A lot of people give out their gamer tags.
Probably not. It really depends on where and how you put information on the internet. So, for instance, I can search my ex-girlfriend's gamer tag and find her phone number. But that's just because she doesn't really care about what she puts on the internet until I pointed it out to her. And she was like, oh, that's bad. I'm like, yes, it is.
And then did she follow that up like, don't talk to me? Or was she like, Matt, take me back?
No. This was when we were still dating. So you don't have to get into that weird whole thing.
No more email questions. Well, I'm alone.
I'm just waiting for like an email question that's going to be like, so what do you do to get the ladies? And I'm going to be like, wonderful question. Don't know.
Just be your charming self. Your charming self.
I think you're charming and you're a lot of fun. I just, I don't know why you're not married with 9 kids already.
Rob would take you.
if I were into guys with, if I was a bear, isn't that what they call?
Oh my gosh, are we going down this trail? Well, we get to do more editing on the podcast this week.
Want to call Phil up?
You started it. And I'm done.
Cool. Was there any other games? Matt.
I played Blood Rage.
Nice.
That was it. We'll talk about it later, I'm assuming.
We can talk about it right now.
We can talk about it right now. I thought that was the only game you played, so I wanted to give you kind of maybe more of the
I played
entrance.
A bunch of games.
Yeah. Well, you also played XCOM this weekend too, though.
Oh,
if you want to call that playing.
I wouldn't necessarily say that. That was more like we rolled some die and continually rolled ones, and everything exploded. And then we went, okay, it was good seeing you. I'll check you out next week. And just.
But Blood Rage. What is Blood Rage? I know the fans want to hear about it. They've been listening to me complain about it not coming in. So what is this game?
Man, I don't know. Since you own it, my assumption would be you have a better understanding about it, and therefore should explain it. However, I will take your bait and say that it's an area control game in which you're on this wonderful little island, and you have different little figurines from your Viking clan, whether it be like warriors, or you can recruit some monsters, or like what are they called?
Mystics.
Like mystics, yeah. And then you just plop these guys down for a certain amount of rage, which happens to be the limiting factor is if it were
action
dollars.
Points, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, you just try to control areas, accomplish quests, murder things for points, get murdered for points. There's a bunch of different strategies. So if you feel like you always lose fights, you can go in fully with that in mind. Just lose all the fights, everything will be great.
And still do well. I don't think I won a single fight when you guys came over to my house.
I did not in Age 2, and it made me very sad because I thought I was going to win all the fights.
And you ended up losing every single figure that you had in Age 2?
Yeah, man. Everyone.
Single figure.
And that was the thing.
Roy,
I took
he lost all these figures when everyone still had like 2 or 3 rage left. He lost them bad and hard and fast. It was just like,
any quests
oh my goodness.
To give me glory for it. So I was just like, well.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about the game is the whole drafting mechanic at the beginning. That's a lot of fun because there's these cards you draft that have battle cards, which are cards that give you strength in combat, and you save those to play during combat. There's upgrade cards, which you can upgrade your Viking clan in different ways by making it so upgrades cost less, or maybe you get double points for these quests, or maybe your guys are stronger now, or maybe they come down for free. So all sorts of cool upgrades you can get, and then you can also get these big giant monster figures that you can throw down on the board that all have like these, like most of you have a leader, and then you have like your little clansmen guys, and they're all basic, but like all the monsters have like cool special abilities, like one crushes everybody else when it comes into play. Some you only count the strength of monsters. Some can come down and Yggdrasil when other people can't normally just drop into Yggdrasil. So there's all sorts of like cool different special abilities on those monsters that you draft. And the other type of cards that you draft are quests, which are to gain you glory. So there's several different ways you can try to draft these cards to figure out how to best gain glory for your clan. So
I will say this game by far has the best detailed minis out there in the gaming world by far. And what I say gaming world, I'm not including like Warhammer or some of those other games where you can kind of custom make them and different things like that. I'm talking about pre-built, pre-made, preset, however you want to put it, minis.
You don't have to glue anything together.
Anything together. And the detail, like on the Leviathan, just like the little bubbles in the water, the little individual hairs on the monsters and things like that, the little scars and everything, the detail on the face, like on the mountain troll that Matt really likes, like just like the detail, and not the acne, but the stuff on his nose, like well, it is, he has like all these bumps and indentions on his nose. Like it's such a beautiful game. It is so well put together. It's so great. And like I just said, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I won the game and I didn't win a single battle. That's what's so great. You can win battles and win the game, and you don't have to win battles and win the game. It all depends on how you play your strategy, but it's such a great game.
A lot of the game is engineering how to complete those quests, giving yourself upgrades to give you more glory in strategic ways, because there's upgrades that you get extra glory when you die in Ragnarok, because during the game, different places on the board, it's an area control game, but the different areas are like burning up in Ragnarok. So when you have your Vikings die in Ragnarok, you get points. Well, there's certain upgrades that can give you even more points for that sort of stuff. So there's like all these crazy different strategies. There's quests where like you need a certain number of people to die. There's quests where you have to control these different areas. There's upgrades where when your ships blow up, you get a bunch of extra glory. So like there's all sorts of different avenues to gain glory, and that's the point of the game. So it's cool that there's a bunch of ways to get victory. You can win, you can die, you can burn in the glory of Ragnarok. I mean, whatever.
And walk down the halls of Valhalla.
Exactly.
But such a fun game. It's, I would say, an instant buy for anybody out there who's listening. I know you can't get it in stores yet, and I don't even think you can pre-order it yet, but once that comes available, instant buy. Just get it. Don't listen to anything else we say except for buy Blood Rage. It's that good.
It was kind of interesting because I had posted a bunch of pictures on Instagram, and people were like, oh, the game's really pretty, but is the gameplay as pretty as the pictures? I'm like, yes. I'm like, this is Eric Lang does not play around. This guy has a history for making good games. And the reviews on this are currently ridiculous, and we're just going to have to add our names to people who think that the game is awesome. So.
Yes, and AJ Pendergrass is the real-life Loki. That guy, he is... I don't know if I can trust him ever again playing a game, man.
Dude, I'm so happy that cup is like passing on to other people instead of just me.
You. No.
Okay.
Roy, let me make this very clear. Roy, you will never be trusted.
Thanks, man.
He's just going to join you in that category. It's not like you get replaced. No, you're starting a fan club. But AJ, there's these Loki cards where you purposefully lose or you purposefully do something and things happen and you can destroy cards or you can steal stuff. Man, he got me just about every single battle we went in. Or, if he didn't get me, he didn't try to get me, but he messed with my mind enough where I was like, well, man, AJ's in here, so I can't play this card because he'll kill this or he'll do this. So, man, or if AJ's in here, I need to make sure I'm going to lose so he doesn't steal this from me. I mean, it was just... It was rough. It was rough. He's a great player. He's a lot of fun. Man, he's Loki. He's a trickster.
Yeah, I'm sorry that I had to teach you guys how to play the game that first time. I'm just kidding. It was pretty. I felt bad after we were done. I literally was like, man.
I think that's the main key is after, because during the game you didn't care.
Oh yeah, I was going hard, but afterwards I was like,
the game,
man, I should have let up a little bit.
All of us were kind of like, you could let up a little bit. No, I can't. It's the rules, and the rules say this, and I'm just not going. After the game, it was like, yeah, guys, sorry, but during the game, it was like, no.
I still want to know how the cards interact, but I was like trying to figure out how specific rules work. They're like, dude, you're like 100 points ahead of everybody. Calm down.
Well, I still agree with AJ. The card says discard, so it's like it's gone. It's discarded. It's just It's
I mean,
done.
I could see it either way. So
anyway, Blood Rage.
Awesome.
The one thing I will say about that game is that the drafting mechanic, to me, really makes it. Because I feel like if it didn't have that drafting mechanic, it would be a rather kind of just plain...
Yeah, the game really isn't that complicated.
It's not like it's like breaking any boundaries or doing anything new or crazy. It's just... It does a really good job at doing what it already knows that it needs to do. But the drafting mechanic allows for a lot more variance. And
I love the drafting.
And everything.
And I agree with you on the drafting. We haven't played it enough yet, so where I know all the cards. So like when we played on Friday night and we got to age 2 and 3, we were all like, "Oh my goodness!"
Yeah, that was fun.
These cards are amazing. Yeah. And I caught myself kind of doing the same thing on Saturday when we played again. I was like, "How did I not see this card before? This right here is like stupid amazing."
Yeah, and that's another thing is like the decks are big enough to where you don't play with all the cards every single game. So that adds instant replayability because maybe someone was relying on a certain strategy card and it didn't come up. So you have to adjust your strategy to what cards you're actually drafting,
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun.
What did you guys think about the Gamma World characters we built? We're going to be running a Gamma World game on Friday, and I had these guys create role-playing characters for this post-apocalyptic role-playing game that we're planning on playing. Was this the first time you ever created like a character from scratch, Rob?
Yes, that was the first time, and I almost wanted to be the last time. Not that it wasn't
crazy,
fun.
Man.
Not that it wasn't fun, but I don't know if I could build a better character than what I got stuck with. Because, my character, now looking and thinking about him, he's like, at first I was kind of disappointed in my roles, and then I saw everybody else roll, and I was like, man, my guy's really good right now. Like, there was only one area. I wasn't negative in a single area, I don't think. I was just at 0. But there were several areas where my guy was pretty high. But I enjoyed it. I'm actually excited to play. And then with the whole backstory of, all right, the person to your left, the person to your right, how do you know them? And then Matt and I decided that we know each other because I created Matt as like a fungus to help clean stuff. And then, he's now growing and he's being able to talk and socialize, but he's got to kind of wear this like body suit so people don't freak out that he's a fungus when he talks, like the guy on Watchmen, who wore the white mask where the ink moved around. Yes, it's just I'm really digging the backstory. I almost want to just keep developing my AI alien with like super high intelligence.
Yeah, so the cool thing about Gamma World is like it goes back super old school so that like most of your character generation is like very random. So we were just like rolling dice and all sorts of crazy stuff. That's one of the things is like I wanted you guys to interact right off the bat. So I was like, hey, how do you guys know each other? And just these guys that are sitting beside each other know each other. I wanted to like start off with some storytelling right off the bat that you guys could create yourself. So. And
I love how Hector's character can read people's minds, but he's so dumb he doesn't really know what to do with that information. And it's not necessarily that he's so dumb, but like his character, he doesn't perceive information well, or I don't know what the trait was that he's really low on.
He rolled low for intelligence, but he has a really high wisdom. So he's street smart, but he's not like. He's like, you guys are super sciencey. He wouldn't be like super sciencey like that, but he could be like, hey guys, how about we don't go down in that hole because there's probably bad things in there. So he might be smarter in that aspect.
Well, we'll see. I'm excited. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, man. I'm a cold mushroom that's good at talking to people.
You are. Your charisma
Not so
is like
good
through
at
the
dodging.
roof.
Yeah, charisma decent, dexterity very poor.
Yeah, but you'll just grow right back. No,
Yeah.
unless
To
they
be fair,
shoot you with like ride out or something like that.
I think the fungus aspect actually does have some healing stuff, but I don't know.
What if one of the guys we fought against was like called the gardener and he had like ride out and ammonia?
Literally carrying a rake. I'm just like, oh no.
No.
Nice.
Anyway.
So besides that, I want to talk about what I've been playing. Me and Hector got a chance to play Battlelore again on Saturday.
Yeah, with the new faction, right?
Yeah, and we played with the new faction of the undead, and that was actually really awesome. The Heralds of Dreadfall. But yeah, it was really cool because that comes with like this undead lich dragon thing and a whole bunch of skeleton guys. But yeah, Hector played the undead guys, and I played just the regular like human Dekthan warrior guys. It was pretty fun. This was the first time Hector had actually like played the game with just us, because we had that epic Battlelore game where we played 6 players, which was ridiculous. But this was his first time playing together. I think the undead guys seem really cool. There's 2 different expansions. That is the way that Fantasy Flight is doing it with the Battlelore stuff. So there's 2 different sets of undead. But Battlelore, if you don't know, is a Command and Colors game. This is the 2nd edition of Battlelore, and you're commanding units trying to claim different objectives on the board. I know we've talked about it in a couple of podcasts, but basically you're playing these command cards, going out and attacking, rolling dice to fight each other off, and try to hold down these banners to gain victory points. The first person to 15 victory points wins the game. So there currently was human guys, the Dekthan warriors, and then these like weird sort of like spiky sort of demonic type guys, which were the Othukulon characters. Well, now they've added undead into the game. So it's pretty cool because they have like reanimate skeleton guys who are really strong when you're first fighting them, because they're supposed to be like a horde of these undead guys coming after you. But after you do some damage to them, they have less and less dice to actually use. So it's kind of interesting because if you go up and hit them real strong at first, then you can weaken them. What I did is I ran up to one of Hector's units and just like swung and missed, and it came back and hit me really bad. And I'm like, oh man, undead, man, those guys stink. They also have some mechanics that like weaken your guys and give them the blighted condition, which is pretty cool. It's just different mechanics that make them feel very undead. There's like graveyard tiles where you can spawn units back on the board. There's a lot of fun stuff. So it was kind of cool to teach Hector that game a little bit, and hopefully he doesn't hate me too much for just sitting on the objectives and pegging him from afar. But it was a lot of fun.
That's Roy for you.
I feel bad. Like, maybe we should just play a co-op. But it's all good. But yeah, that is.
It's not that you're. It's like, how can I say this?
I tried to teach the game really.
But you don't try to have. It doesn't seem like you necessarily. It's like.
Once I'm in the game, I don't know how to switch off the win mode.
Yeah, you don't know how to. Not that you don't know how to have fun, but it doesn't seem like you know how to have fun with others. like it's not fun for you if you don't win. Like, I don't know. Like, even for example, when we were playing that House on Haunted Hill, Matt was just like chilling, getting super buff, just having a good time, just playing. And Roy is like, "Listen, Matthew Robbins, if you don't carry that corpse up those stairs," I mean, it's just like, it's. Now I know that. I've kind of learned that about you, Roy. So like whenever I play a game with you, I'm like, okay, once the game starts, Roy's all about winning. He's going to go for, if the rules say you have to count to 5, he's going to count to 5 before anybody else counts to 5. That's just how he's going to do it. Roy is an objective-based person. So have your fun conversations with Roy pre and post game. But during the game, it's all about winning. See, I'm more like Sam from the Dice Tower, where it's just like, let me create this awesome army and just like, bah. I mean, not like winning too, don't get me wrong, but like Roy, I bet you murdered Hector. I mean, I bet you just like, I bet it was really bad. Was it really bad?
Hector did a really good job. He listens to this
You murdered
podcast. Hector is an awesome guy.
He's a lot
But
of fun.
let's just say I felt like it was a repeat of Blood Rage. No, I'm just kidding.
Enough said.
Enough said. But yeah, I think we had fun. So I hope we had fun.
Yes, you did.
He said he had fun. I tried to be nice. I tried to give
he's at your
pointers and
house.
stuff. He didn't just flip the table on me. Ugh! But yeah, good times.
Great times. But that's what I love about gaming groups is you have a bunch of different types of personalities. If we were all like Roy, could you imagine how horrible that would be?
Well,
If we were all like me?
I never get too crazy. I hope I don't.
No, you don't.
just
But I'm just
try
saying,
to go
I love
for
the
the
different
point of the game.
personalities. I love the different personalities because, like, if I do have a question, I can ask Roy because I know Roy knows, But like, if I just want to be goofy, I'll talk to Ryan or I'll talk to Matt or something. Because, and it's not that Matt doesn't know, but Matt sometimes and AJ, they get sucked into distractions sometimes by Ryan, and so it's just like, okay, like I don't know, just every group each group has different personalities, and you are definitely the objective win at all costs guy, which is fun because I'm right there with you. I'd rather win.
When I play like role playing type stuff, I try not to be like the hardcore kill people. Like I try to like lay back and have fun. Like when we play Mansions of Madness, like I'm not like I'm gonna win this game because I feel like that would be pretty easy to do. But I try to like go through the story and we can do this story together. I feel like it's a co-op where I'm trying to make it a challenge, trying to make it difficult, but I'm not going to be like, and here's this giant thing that just smashes you guys, because that would be easy to do in that sort of game.
Yeah.
But good times.
Good times. So co-ops and RPGs, Roy is nice. Anything else? Da-da-da-da. Which I like because it challenges me because I want to be a better gamer, so I get it. Roy, you're a great guy. I love playing games with you.
Nice. Well, I guess we can go ahead and get into our topic tonight, which is combat in board games.
Did we spend our average 30 minutes on talking about games we played? Are we good?
Oh,
we're good?
Yeah, we're
Okay.
good. We're good.
Okay.
Exactly.
We've hit that.
We hit that sweet spot.
It's not what we shoot for.
But ever since you brought that up a couple weeks ago, I'm now looking like, hold on. Oh, it's after 9:30. We can start talking about our topic now.
I like it. I like talking about the games we've been playing. I love
it.
Like
it's one of my
favorite part. I like talking about the
too.
stories and the craziness. Hopefully, people that listen to us enjoy it too. Make sure to email Rob and let him know. No, I'm just kidding.
You can email me.
But yeah. So our topic tonight is combat in board games. So there's a lot of different types of combat in board games. A lot of the Ameritrash style games have all sorts of different types of combat, different conflicts that you're having with monsters and creatures and army units and whatever, the big bad boss guy that you're fighting against. And we definitely like a lot of the games that have like that sort of aspects to them. I mean, there's different occasions where different things happen, but what are some cool board games with different types of combat mechanics in it, guys? Matt, do you want to start?
Maybe.
I figured I'd let you go first so you can get the easy ones out of the way, and then me and Rob can hit the more obscure weirdness.
So are you just looking for games in particular?
Just any type of like mechanics for like combat in games.
I mean, the easiest ones are die rolls, and then like where you have to do conflicted card things, like in Blood Rage, where you're like, hey, I've got a card that gives, or what's that other one that I always confuse with Alien Frontiers?
Cosmic Encounter?
Cosmic Encounter, yeah.
Cosmic Encounter and Blood Rage have very similar combat mechanics.
Yeah. It's, they're interesting.
It's like number of units, added to a number on a card that you both reveal simultaneously. That's why Tom Bassel, another guy who does a lot of podcasts with the Dice Tower, and he does a lot of reviews too, but that's why he like loves Blood Rage a lot, is because he's like, my favorite game is Cosmic Encounter. Blood Rage has the same combat mechanics as that game does. It doesn't have negotiation, but it has the same sort of attacking each other.
I will say, especially after playing Blood Rage, I absolutely love that mechanic.
Yeah.
Because what do you have that I don't have? What did you pick that I didn't pick? And are you trying to pull a Loki and trick me, or are you trying to beat me? Like, I love that. It's like when we played Blood Rage this weekend, like a lot of times during combat, it was almost like a chill went up my spine. Like, okay, what is everyone going in here for? Like, why does Roy not seem so nervous when he's only got like 2 guys in there? Okay, so he's probably going to pull Loki, but Matt's in there with like 2 monsters and like these mystics and stuff like that. So I love that. That's such a cool mechanic.
It's
that card.
Super weird when like you're going into these combats in Blood Rage and you're trying to lose, and you still win. It's just like, guys, no. Why am I winning this combat? Because like they've gotten onto your strategy. He's going in here just to kill off his guys. We got to stop that, and they lose on purpose, and they Loki you when you were trying to Loki them. It's pretty interesting spin on the whole combat thing.
Yeah.
Some other cool mechanics are like bidding combat. So games like Tiny Epic Kingdoms has like a little bidding combat mechanic where you're paying your magic and your food on a little die to you bid a certain amount to be able to combat, which is like the same sort of combat that's in Rex.
I was about to say Rex has that combat.
You bid a certain number of units to win the combat, and whoever has the highest with different parameters wins the combat, and that's pretty fun. Dice combat is probably still one of my favorites. Like almost all of my favorite games have some form of dice combat in it, whether it's Arkham Horror and Eldritch Horror, where you're fighting off monsters with your cool weapons and Tommy guns, rolling dice, or like Battlelore, where you're just trying to get sword symbols. There's like there's tons of different versions of dice combat, because like all these games have dice combat, and people try to do it in different ways, where it's like, hey, you have to roll a die and you have to get a certain number. You need a 5 or 6 to hit, like in Risk. Or like you're rolling against there to see if they get a higher number. If they get a higher number, then they stop you. And in like Twilight Imperium, different ships have different numbers they need to get. And it's like, oh, this ship needs a 9 to hit. That's really hard to do on a 10-sided die. Well, this ship hits on a 5. That's like way easier to pull off. And each one of those rolls counts as a hit. Or it could be the combat like in Hero Quest, Mice and Mystics, Heroescape, or X-Wing, where it's like I roll my attack dice and I get a certain number of hits. Now you roll your defense dice and you get a certain number of defenses. If I have more hits than your defenses, you take whatever damage. So like all of those games use different sided dice and different die facings and different symbols, but still sort of the same dice mechanics, where attack and defense dice. Mansions of Madness does something pretty interesting, where you like draw a card, and it has like a test type that you need, because you have different skills and you have to roll a specific skill. Like sometimes it could be your marksmanship skill,
and then you have to do the dice as well. But it's all based
sometimes
on the card.
it could be a dexterity test. Sometimes it's just like different tests depending on the card you get with the weapon that you have, and then you roll the die to see if you successfully make that test. Which is pretty cool. It's interesting all the different ways they've come up with to do these different dice combats.
I also really like the hidden token type of combat, and where I've only really seen that played is in Game of Thrones, where you know, it comes down to numbers. Like I have a 5 and you have a 4, kind of a thing. But you don't know what I'm doing with my 4, and I don't know what you're doing with your 5. Am I attacking? Am I defending? Yada yada. And so that's actually a lot of fun. And then negotiating, that's a good combat tactic. And where you see that a lot is in like diplomacy,
Mm-hmm.
because you need to negotiate with everybody, and then people need to come to an agreement. Because there's no dice rolling or anything like that. It's just, are we going to work together where my numbers beat their numbers, and vice versa. And so there's a bunch of different tactics, but I would say dice chucking is the number one. It's the it's just the best. It's the most Amerithrash.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of awesome ways to do that. And I mean, sometimes it's simple stuff like in Colt Express, where it's just like, I play a shoot card and you're in the right range, I hit you. So
yeah,
I mean, it's super stuff like where it's like you auto hit somebody because you programmed it to do that way. It's like Robo Rally, you just follow someone around the board and laser them to death. It's kind of cool.
Or games like Ashes or Magic the Gathering, where maybe the cards don't necessarily have a numeric value of like 4 or 5, but this spell is better than your spell, and so I'm able to hurt you or hit you that way. So there's a bunch of different ways to do combat in games. But I think we hit a lot. Rolling dice, negotiating, the hitting disc, the bidding, the numbers, the cards. So would you concur, Matthew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some of our favorite board games with combat mechanics? For me, like my top 10, like I literally went on Board Game Geek and looked at my top 10 games. Every single game has combat in it. And I don't know if it's just because I'm an Ameritrasher or what it is, but it's like Spectre Ops. I like that game more than Letters than on Whitechapel a lot, just because you have to chase down the agent and like attack them. Like that's enjoyable to me, that you actually like have to roll dice to try to like make this thing happen. And then there's all this card play and trying to mitigate that damage or try to make different things happen. So I think that like combat added into these games, for me personally, just makes it better. So I like my favorite cooperative games, like you've got your Pandemic and stuff like that, which are nice little, like you're cleaning up the little cubes and stuff like that. But the ones I really enjoy are like Eldritch Horror, where there's bad guys on the board and you have to chase them down and fight them to get things done. And I mean, I just love that stuff. Even like Legendary, it's like just a deck building game, but it also has the combat added into it. So you're building a deck of these cards, but you're drafting a bunch of attack cards so you can fight off characters. And it's like simple mechanics where that sort of thing's done in other games like that, and it might not necessarily be combat. You're just buying this sort of card with those numbers. But the fact that I feel like I'm fighting off the bad guys,
it's a good feeling.
It's what drives me to play a lot of these games for the most part, because
Absolutely.
all of my top games have that in there. So
I'm with you 100%.
It's probably just from my gaming background. Most of my favorite video games and stuff like that are very combat. And like in real life, I'm very much a pacifist. I would never fight anyone ever. Like I would always try to negotiate and be friendly and nice and de-escalate and all that stuff. But like in a game, it's like
it's because you get that rage out in board games.
Oh, okay.
If you didn't have board games to push that rage out on,
you said I would just be crazy?
I could see like somebody at Target one day, those socks don't go there. Don't put those happy birthday cards there.
I would just be on the floor. It would be okay.
That crate doesn't go there.
I would just be like, it's okay, I understand. We're going to get this taken care of. Like, it's fine. Negotiation.
I'm going to go home and play board games. But if those board games aren't there, I'm with you. Some of my favorites, I'm like Roy, just about all the games that I own have combat unless they're party games.
It's like Dead of Winter, killing zombies.
Dead of Winter,
Game of Thrones,
Blood Rage,
Risk.
I love Risk, yes.
Ashes.
Memoir 44, Small World, Ashes, Level 7, Omega Protocol, Twilight Imperium, War of the Rings.
So good.
Like you said, Spectre Ops, Forbidden Stars, which I haven't played a full game yet, but that's just all like in-your-face combat. Summoner Wars. Oh my gosh, that combat is amazing.
Yeah.
Imperial Assault. I've played. Mice and Mystics. Flick 'em up. That's a good type of combat we didn't talk about. Flick 'em up.
Dexterity combat.
That dexterity combat where you're flicking the dice. That's a lot of fun. Zombie Side.
What I really want.
Talk about a button smasher video game turned into a board game. Zombie Side. I mean, I could just go on and on. I could read you my whole Spartacus or the arena style combat like your X-Men Revolution.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. There's just so many awesome games. Man, you want me to keep going? Because I can.
I about to say, I feel the same way.
Castle Panic. That's a fun little combat.
I'm sure somebody like on the other side of the world is like, listen to these Americans and their warmongering.
That's right. Who can we invade next, baby?
Oh no, Rob's terrible.
I'm just speaking the truth. What?
So punctual.
I mean, I love everybody.
What do you think, Matt? I know you like a lot of games that are more social deduction style, but what do you think about the combat side of a lot of these games that me and Rob really like, where we're just like in each other's face?
I mean, to me, I prefer social deduction over combat, but that's just me personally. But there are a lot of good combat mechanics that involve a decent amount of deduction. So, like Cosmic Encounters and Blood Rage, for instance, you have that hidden card. So you're like, okay, well, I'm sitting at 7, they're sitting at 6. Are they going to blow like a 5? Or are they just going to like put in a quest card and be like, you win, haha, take it.
And if you go too high, the winner loses their card. So it's like, man, I wasted a card.
Yeah, and then you're just like, man, I just used my +6 on that, and I really didn't need to. Gah.
Would you say that you like social deduction because it's possibly more challenging? Because it can be.
So that's the reason I like social deduction. Social deduction, for me, adds more layers to gameplay than the game itself does. Because I'm not playing the game, I'm playing the people.
Yeah.
And so the people I'm playing against can be very different. And even if I just play the same game with you guys, it might be you guys are in different roles or you're going for a different strategy. And so the game puts you in a situation where you're going to play differently, as opposed to just being like, all right, I'm going to roll some die. Look at that, all 6s. I win. Like, hey, that's fun.
Don't make fun of rolling all 6s. That's a big deal.
Yeah. And I like it's fun, and it's a great way to sort of relax and unwind, I feel like. But like, one of the things that I'm a fan of in games is coming in to sort of engage mentally and like challenge myself on a different scope of things. But that being said, you know, a lot of good combat.
I feel like that part for me comes into like the setting up of like how I want the combat to work. Like, I have to align these troops just right. I have to get these guys in the correct place to make this possible. And yes, there's going to be like luck and randomness when I go into the combat. Even with crazy dice rollers, like Battlelore has a lot of luck in it because you need a 5 or 6 to hit. Yeah. So there's a ton of luck in those dice. But it's like I try to mitigate that luck by having the people in the right place at the right time and have these guys supporting those guys and giving myself multiple opportunities to take that guy off the banner. So like the whole deduction thing and stuff like that, like I try to see what the other player's doing as well. So like a lot of the part that makes combat exciting for me is like setting up and figuring out where I'm going and I'm a very tactical player. Like I'm pretty strategic too, but like strategy is like long term and like tactics are like short term. But like most of the time I just look at the board and like, what's the best thing for me to do right now?
Right now. Yeah.
And what's he gonna do on his turn, so I can try to stop him from doing what he wants to do, but progress what I want to do. So all the mental exercises and stuff that you might be getting with social deduction, I'm thinking about like pre-rolling the dice or like after rolling the dice and trying to set up my combats and things like that.
I would also say, though, that social deduction does come into play some when you are playing a combat game. Because, like,
especially when it's multiplayer, like with a lot of people.
If I attack Roy, I know for the most part, especially if you attack Roy early on in the game, he's going to attack you back. He's going to get upset, and it's That's just how it's going to happen. Because Roy does have a strategy.
But you also like have to realize when you're attacking this person, are you leaving yourself too weak over here for where that person's going to come in? Especially in games like Risk and stuff like that. It's like, did I leave myself too thin over here? Yeah. But can you be like, hey man, I'm going to go over here and take him out. Yeah. Don't come in behind and own me over here.
Or the consequences we gotta work this out. Person. Because like there's certain people, if I play a game with, I know I can attack them every time, and they're just not going to do anything about it.
They're just going to take it.
They're just going to take it. And there's certain people that I can attack, and they're going to be like, they could do something, they're not going to do something. And then there's people that I know if I attack, they're going to attack right back. I'm that guy. If you attack me, I'm vowing to murder everyone that you ever loved. I'm just that type of guy.
You're one of the to the ends of the earth type guys. It's like, hey, the objective of the game no longer matters. Eradicating your civilization,
your bloodline
from this board game is the important part.
So, but with that being said, that is social deduction. In a way, not the same as something else, but like people's temperaments, especially in combat games, do play a big deal. Because sometimes I want to attack people if they're just going to act like a big baby the whole time and act like a jerk. Like, you can't handle me attacking you, then why are you playing in a combat-based game?
Or maybe someone plays games more defensive and you like purposely leave your stuff less defended because they play defensive, so you leave your stuff less defended because they are most likely not going to attack you. And if they think about attacking you, you can talk them out of it. So it's really it's like, hey, don't do that. Yeah, you're going to regret that. And they're like, oh,
but
no, I wasn't going to do that.
Oh, you're sitting by so-and-so. They're not going to attack them. Well, you had the same chance to sit here. I mean, it's not like I purposely put all the pacifists right beside me and I left my home base wide open. You just have to know who you're playing.
I think that's the interesting thing, like in the difference of play styles between like you two and me. Like you two play the game and then occasionally shift into like playing the people, whereas I come in and I go, I'm going to play the people, and then if I don't win the game, I don't care, because I'm just going to do weird mental exercises the whole time. So
that's why I love sitting beside you. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
What did you do during Telestrations? What did you draw?
Yeah, man, I drew a drafting schematic of a bedpan because I couldn't think of a way to draw it that wouldn't be perceived as a toilet, so I drew the front view, the top view, the side view, and the isometric view of it.
Well, if you put it in a bed, that might be a dead giveaway. It was a bedpan.
I did not think about that at the time. Because it's like, I want to just draw the object and have somebody go, oh, that's what that is. Whereas, like, Roy will be like, all right, so I need to draw a cat in the hat. So I'll draw a cat, and then I'll draw a hat, and then I'll just make a line between them. And everybody's like, oh, cat in a hat, or, like whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, I just want to draw it.
I would probably try to draw the actual cat in the hat, and then the next person would just be like, what is that? And I would be stoked, because they would draw something completely random off of my terrible drawing, because I can't draw, and that's awesome.
They just sitting there, and it's like, man,
that is like Abraham Lincoln.
They like look at it, and they're like Goofy started doing meth or something. They're like, whoa, this is terrifying.
And then the next person has to draw that, which is awesome.
That was like, what was that one you drew? It was a Magic Hat. Yeah, that ended up going Magic Hat, and then it was Magician, and then it got turned into David Copperfield, and then I ended up drawing an elephant disappearing, and then AJ was like, I don't even care anymore. I'm just going to take a picture of this. This is glorious. It was ridiculous.
That's awesome.
But yeah, combat in Telestrations.
Yeah, man. Those markers are bad for your eyes.
What do you think it is about Ameritrash games that are a lot more competitive or a lot more combative compared to like Euro games? A lot of Euro games are very like farmers and very much like casual stuff, like, hey, we're shipping these stuff overseas to get some victory points and different things like that. What do you think the difference is? Like, Settlers of Catan, no combat. Or at least in the regular game. There might be some combat stuff in the expansions, but I don't even know if there is there. What do you guys think is up with that?
It's systems. Like when you play Euro games, if you find the right system, or you find the right systems. If you make the right choices enough, I can't think of the word right now. It's a really smart word. You'd be proud of me, Matt. But it's just, if you can find the right, man, what am I trying to say? Anyway,
mechanics or
yeah, but it's like more posh. It's more like
mechanisms.
I mean, yes, but that's what it is. That's the difference between Euro games. If you find the right system, I mean, you really don't need to change from that. There's really nothing that can kind of get in your way. Whereas in combative games or combat-based games, there really is no system that you can just kind of do every single time. Like, I can't just play the 5 every time knowing it's going to win. You could in a Euro, once you acquire the ability that you're looking for, and then you find the schematic that you need to be able to win the game, you pretty much can win the game every time if you're able to get that same combo together. But you can't do that in combat games. I mean, look at Matt when we were playing Blood Rage. The second time when we played on Saturday, he was so set on getting this combo again, and he got it again.
Yeah,
and it was amazing.
It was actually better.
It was. But everybody else, when they played their combat and did their different things, the outcomes varied from game to game and age to age, where his system was broken. Especially in age 2 and the second one. It wasn't that it was necessarily broken. The things he was able to do was great, but like his whole plan did not go at all the way he had planned it out. And the reason being is because of other people. And so I think that's the big difference between combative games and or
interaction.
Well, that in the system. Like Euro game, for example.
There are a lot of Euro games that aren't very interactive at all. And like a lot of people say, hey, this is just like we're a bunch of people playing solo at different times. I mean, there's specific stuff like in a worker placement, oh, he took the space I wanted to take, so now I can't put my guy there, but I'll just take the space instead. So it's not like too crazy. But there's a lot of them where it's like the interaction in between the players isn't there at all. There's nothing you can really do to affect all the people. You're just getting these resources and doing this thing and moving these things around and turning them into victory points.
Correct, but like let's say you're playing a Euro game and your whole point of the Euro game is to build a log cabin, right? And let's say you're trying to build a log cabin and Matt goes for stone and mud at first so he can get his foundation built, and I go for glass for somehow I'm trying to make glass for my windows in my cabin. But Roy goes and he takes over the forest because nobody can build a log cabin unless you have the wood for it. By Roy doing that, we're pretty much done for, because you can have technically a log cabin on a dirt floor, and you can have a log cabin with wooden windows that just close. You don't need to have glass. And so that's my point, is there is no interaction. And if you find the right schematic, if you can find the right lineup in a Euro game, you can pretty much win. And that's why I think I don't like Euro games, is because after you've played a Euro game twice, you pretty much know what you need to do to win that game, right?
And a lot of times a lot of like especially Euro gamers frown on stuff that's like stuff that is a catch-up mechanic or things that bring the leader down. That's one of the things in like these combative games is like, oh, this guy is winning, let's work together to wreck him. Like you can literally do that.
They get mad at you in Euro games if you do that.
Yeah, if that sort of thing happens, they're like, oh, you're a kingmaker, blah blah blah. So but that's like the name of the game in like war games and different things like that. Like in Twilight Imperium, if someone's winning, like when I was winning Twilight Imperium and I was in the lead, everybody jumped on to take all of my victory points, which is exactly what they should have done. So and I mean, there's no hard feelings for that sort of thing, but it's kind of interesting. Do you have anything to say about Euro games? Because I've got another thing to say about the difference, if you don't, Matt.
I've got some things.
What do you think?
So, I mean, other than what most people might say in that, you know, Americans are a violent populace and therefore need violence in their board games. I don't think that holds very much water. There is something to be said, I think, for Americans have like a deep desire for randomness, I feel like. Whereas like Euro games, and especially games that come out of Germany, are very, if they're not like Haba games where they're like designed for children, they're very like, okay, here is my cubes, and this is what I need to do to get the most points. And it's very analytical, so it's more you play the game in order to win the game. I lost my train of thought. No, goodbye. It's like the way it functions is it's far more an analytical experience. So they enjoy it because they essentially want to sit down and say, okay, today I'm going to do some math. I'm going to try and get these particular cards. And then once all of that is in effect, I will have a small cycle that creates all the stuff that I need to do to win, and nobody else can stop me. And it's like, cool. But American games, it's kind of like Monopoly in that regard. Like, if a Monopoly were... I guess is it an American game? I don't know where it originated from.
America.
Yeah, but it's like Monopoly is more Euro-based because you can take over a section and go, okay, if you land here, you lose. That's how that works. Whereas most of the Ameritrash games are like pure, unadulterated randomness, which benefits a populace that is less interested in doing a lot of hard work or math to enjoy themselves.
Exactly.
I would love to see Monopoly turn into a Ameritrash game. Like just like once you said Monopoly, I was like, what if somebody could land on it and then they rolled a dice to fight for it? Like you had it, so the owner gets to roll 2 dice, but the guy trying to take it only rolls 1 dice, and if he by chance just fights for it, like
hang on. So like Monopoly set in the Roaring 20s, back with like gang warfare going on.
Right.
You like roll up with a Tommy gun, right? And you're like, no, this is my deli now.
Right. You want to put a house on here? I want 10%. 10% of whatever you put on this place. Yes.
Just rename it Extortion. Everything will be fine.
I think a lot of the reasons like a lot of the Euro games come from Germany, and that's where like a lot of the like big boom for like that style of board games came from. And Germany is like, after the wars and stuff like that, are extremely like non-violent. Like
they are actually
like even their video games, they are like they teach non-violence in schools. Like violence is bad, so basically their games very much reflect that. And it's more like you said, it's about like working your brain and like getting the points and like doing the farming and different things like that to get points. But it's very much about combat is evil because of the things that have happened in the past. I mean, for good reason. So we're going to try to steer everyone away from that, which I mean is pretty awesome. But a game is a game, and Ameritrash is fun. So
yeah, I feel like there are a lot of games that combine sort of the two. Like I would say Blood Rage has features from both of them.
That's what a lot of my favorite games are, is like the stuff that combines them.
Yeah. What were you saying, Matt? You were saying Blood Rage?
Oh yeah, I think Blood Rage combines elements of both Euro games and Ameritrash games, and it does it very well. Mm-hmm. So it blends everything together. So it's not necessarily like Euro-y and like that cube collection thing, but it is Euro-y when you get to the drafting mechanics, and you're like, okay, well I can take this card, and then that will play well with this, and then this will play well with that, and then that will set my strategy for the coming age. Or I could just take all these quests and just try to just push people this way and just cash in a bunch of quests. Like there's more options in how to play, and that's
or do I pillage this area because I need that resource?
Yeah, and so like that's kind of the mechanic that I like about Blood Rage, is the drafting mechanic makes the game so much more. Mm-hmm. Because if it was not there, it easily just becomes something where you're like, put down man, have man hit other man with hammer, you win. Woo!
Yeah,
like
I'd play that though.
I really enjoy like how so many of the new games that are coming out, and I mean even some of the older ones, are like just merging a lot of the mechanics from both. So there's a lot of like Euro resource management and engine building sort of stuff mixed with the combat and dice rolling. But But yeah, like Twilight Imperium has a lot of Euro.
We need to
mechanics
play
in
that
it.
game again.
I know. Well, we had to schedule it. But yeah, I mean, I'll play it. It's my favorite game. I love it. But I mean, the whole like getting your different action cards at the beginning, or the action like things like warfare and the first player token and diplomacy and stuff like that. That's very much a Euro mechanic, like straight up from like San Juan and stuff like that. So which are like famous Euro games. So they've mixed a lot of that stuff, and Eclipse is even more a Euro game, which just has, it's basically a Euro game with some Ameritrash elements added into it. Hey, we have dice combat. Everything else is manage resources very strictly.
Eclipse was very dry.
Yeah.
I liked the shipbuilding mechanics of it, but then it's like you just move over to Zaya, and it's like, hey, look, also shipbuilding. You're like, oh, yes, I'll take this. This is much better.
Zaya is like the epitome of Ameritrash as far as that stuff goes. Tons and tons of randomness, but it also has that awesome combat where you can shoot people down. It's like, oh, hey, you got hurt a lot from those asteroids. Sure would be a shame if someone buys a blaster rifle and blasts you out of the sky and steals all your resources.
Here I go killing again.
Exactly. But I didn't want to have to do this, but I saw you were weak and you were drifting in space, so I'm just going to have to blast you out of the stage. Exactly.
Meanwhile, I am the farthest place away trying to salvage something and continually blowing up.
I used to be a peaceful merchant, but now I'm decided I'm going to pursue a life of piracy, mostly because you're really injured right beside me.
Okay, real quick, you sounded like the water boy.
H2O.
That's right, you did. Like, when you got kind of high right there, you sounded like, you sounded like the water boy.
Oh, my goodness. But yeah, good times.
Good times. I need to quit buying games.
Just come over and play mine, man.
I need to play mine. I need to do what you did and have that list, because I still have like a lot of good games I haven't really played yet that are awesome.
So, what do you guys think are the negatives of combat in board games?
Dice.
I love dice.
I know, yeah. I love dice. Don't get me wrong. I love dice. But this is also going to kind of go along with my epic story that I have. Mm-hmm. But dice can break you. Dice can break you not only in the game, but also emotionally. I have had days ruined because of dice. Great friends, great atmosphere, great game, but the dice.
Well, you do play a lot of Risk, and I feel like Risk is super susceptible to that. I've seen people hold down a location with one person before, and you're just like, wait, what? Wait. Yeah. I don't understand. It was like 37-1. This is not happening right now.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry, I jumped out of line. I know that was supposed to be somebody else.
Nah. I think if you're playing, like, one of the negatives of combat is, like, if you're playing against people that are not combative people or are not super competitive people, it just doesn't really, like, work very well. Like, most of my, like, favorite games that are, like, super dudes on a map fighting each other, like, I would never be able to play any of that stuff with my wife just because she's, like, not interested in that theme whatsoever. So we reach for, like, more of the lighter cooperative games. And I mean, some of the games we play have some forms of combat. Like, her favorite game is Legendary. Card Wars with her, which is like the Magic the Gathering Adventure Time game, and we played it like once. Yeah, exactly. She wasn't super stoked after I tried to rein back the CCG skills, but you guys know that we were in a game, and it's like I saw combos, and the combos were screaming to me, destroy her people, and it just happened. It just fell together.
There are
loving husband
on the rape train.
That's right. Loving husband pre-game, loving husband post-game, deadly murderer killer during game.
So we play a lot of cooperative games, even when we play like Euro games and stuff like that. Like we played Zularedo, and like I mean Zularedo, you're like buying animals to put in your zoo and like stuff like that. And when we count the score at the end, they get all mad because mine's higher. And I mean, so we try to play a lot more like casual stuff that like it doesn't matter what the score is, or we're just playing like for fun and we're working together. So if you have personalities that are not prone to conflict, then it can be a negative in that aspect.
Oh yeah.
What do you think some of the negatives of combat are, Matt?
So, not necessarily of combat per se, but most games that have combat have a lot of moving parts.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you get people like me who are a bit zealous in rolling die or just moving things at a very accelerated pace, and then stuff starts to disappear very quickly. And then this game that you spent $100 on it now has like 2 missing goblins, and you're like, what happened? And it's like, well, I happened, so hooray. I mean, so that's why, like, I really want to play Rampage, but I'm also terrified of playing Rampage because that game is like all moving parts. And I just don't understand how some of these things don't just disappear forever into the ether.
I totally have been like when we played War of the Ring, Rob, I know my babies were fussing and stuff, and I like just threw everything back in the box real quick, and I found like a couple pieces on the floor afterwards, and it's my fault. And I was just like, I love this game. There's a piece here. Like if I lost this, that would be really bad. So put it back in the box.
I'm the same way.
You gotta be careful with those board games, especially like the tiny little bitty tokens. It's like it's like especially when there's like one of them. If it's like it's a clue token in Arkham Horror, there's like a bajillion of them.
Forget the fact that it's a choking hazard for our little daughters. It's the fact that it'd be missing from the box that probably bothers me more. That doesn't mean that I'm a bad dad, but I'm just OCD about my things where I want everything put up, and I do that to protect my daughter and any future children that I have.
From the choking hazard or from yourself?
Both.
My son always comes in my game room because I have like his little kids games and stuff in here, and he's always like, oh, I want to play this and all this stuff, and we always want to play Go Away Monster, and he always brings that out, but then he always wants to play another game, and today he was yelling, I want to play Baka game, Baka Baka. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that means idiot in Japanese. I don't understand what you're saying to me right now, man. And it's because he wanted to play the Looping Louie Chewbacca game. So I'm like, Chewbacca! I got it! Let's do this. You can't play this game, but we're just going to hit the little flippers. It's going to be fun. So, but yeah, and he didn't choke on any parts, so that's awesome.
That is awesome. I will add before we start to wrap up, one of the negatives about combat games are elimination.
Oh, yeah.
When you do get eliminated for whatever reason, and then you just kind of have to sit there and watch people play the game. That's no fun. Now, it's a part of the game. I mean, you got to know that could happen, but that's especially if for some crazy reason you get eliminated early on, you could be sitting there for a couple of hours.
Mm-hmm. And the most good games try to mitigate that or make that not a non-issue. So, and it just depends on what the game is. Like Risk, like elimination's the name of the game, but they've taken steps in newer versions of Risk to make it where it's about strongholds and less about just wiping someone completely off the map. So,
unless you play Risk Legacy,
and then it's just like in them.
some of the stuff is
nice. So do we have any epic stories from where you defeated monsters, annihilated your opponent, or captured the spy at the last second? Oh, I guess I have to start. There was one game of Twilight Imperium I played. We played it at the Camel City Gamers meetup with Tim and them. It was one of the first games that I played of this with him and his group. And there was one guy, Jim, who was there, and he was one of those where he was just building his army. He wasn't really going after like objectives and things like that. He was just building up his stuff like slowly and stuff like that. And I was playing the Embers, which are the people that start with like a weakened war sun. So like I had really strong military from the beginning, but I had spread myself out pretty thin. So like I didn't have, like I was trying to cover a lot of area and have less stuff. We had a pile of people that were starting to encroach on my stuff, and he was swearing that he wasn't going to mess with any of my things and I was going to be good. And I did not trust the amount of fleets he had. See, it doesn't matter what he said. He just had a lot of guys, and it was a threat. So I managed to get the initiative card so I could go first because I was afraid he was going to attack me next turn. I played an action card that made it so all of my units could move like one extra space. And then I jumped on his pile of guys with a pile of my guys before he had time to pick out like my little planets one by one. And I just basically ended his Twilight Imperium experience from there, because then he basically had nothing because he had built this huge blob of ships. And it may have been mean, but I ended up getting Mechatol Rex after that, so that was fun. But yeah, so that was my epic thing of preemptively striking before he struck me. He's like, "Ah!" But I thought it was fun. It was epic for me.
Yeah. I am not surprised that you did that to somebody. Especially after like the conversation we just had and everything like that. Roy saw a threat and he eliminated it.
Have you seen the movie Ender's Game?
Yes.
Where basically, have you seen it, Matt?
No.
You should watch that movie because you would like it. I don't know if the fact that you haven't seen it now makes me kind of not want to go into it so much. But
I know the premise, so please go ahead.
Basically, the humans in that game decide that the aliens are a huge threat, so they proceed to eliminate them, which I do not think is good practice in reality, but in the game or the war game, if the people look like a threat, you gotta take them out before they take you out. And that's what happened.
It's a good movie.
Especially if they look like ants. Just eradicate pesticides.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, not that we're on an Ender's Game thing, but bro, the way that one fleet of ships did to the Earth, could you imagine being attacked by a whole armada of fleets? You know, the Earth would have never made it. So, not that I'm saying I agree with genocide or extinction or anything like that, but like,
because most people do.
I'm pretty conservative, I'm pretty liberal when it comes to that stuff. Like, let them live. But no, in the movie they killed like, I think it was like 1 billion, or no, it was like 300. It was in the hundreds of millions of people that died. And so they're like, all right, to prevent this, we're just going to go blow up their world before they come back and blow up ours. Even though that's not what the ant people were trying to do. That's besides the point. I'm sorry. Good movie. Acting was okay.
I thought it was good. I like the premise.
I love the premise.
Maybe listen to the audiobook. I don't know.
I thought Harrison Ford did a good job. We won! That's what matters. We won.
I saw it coming, though, from a mile away.
But the books are crazy. There's like 5 or 6 books, if not more, in the series.
Yeah. My friend Nate loves that whole series. But yeah, space. You should check it out, Matt, because space.
Yeah.
So I have an epic story, and it does not involve me, but I was involved in the game. So close your ears if you have not completed Risk Legacy.
Or care about spoilers for that.
Yeah, spoiler. All right, one last chance. All right, listen. So in Risk Legacy, there are two hidden factions where you have to do certain things to open up these additional factions that the game starts with. And one of the things that you have to do is you have to have a missile, and you have to be able to play your 10-point card, where you can bring down an army. You know how you turn in cards on Risk to get more armies? You have to be able to turn in at least 10 coins worth to be able to get an army of 30 plus and have one missile. Well, this faction, and I won't name the faction, but anyway, it's a faction that comes out of this part of the box. And my buddy had this amazingly huge faction. So he has his 30 guys, plus an additional 10 guys, plus his army. He was close to 50 guys, right?
Yeah.
And he was starting his run to go kind of take over the world. And his very first place he had to go take over was like India, because he was turtling in Australia.
I hate that.
And so he's coming out and he's going west out of Australia, and he's going west, and he gets to India, and India has 2 little men there, and those 2 little men killed over 35 of his 50-man army. Those 2 little guys, the dice absolutely destroyed.
So in Risk Legacy, there's like scars and stuff you can put on the board. Were there anything like that?
No scars, nothing.
Nice.
He was literally rolling like 1s and 2s the whole time, and if he ever rolled a 5 or a 6, my buddy rolled a 5 or a 6. And in Risk Legacy or Risk games, if the defender ties you, the defender wins.
Yeah.
And so it just was like, it was really
like
he got
as
he
the
got
defender.
so ticked off.
As a defender, if you constantly roll 6s, you can't lose, right?
Yeah, and that's what happened for a little bit too. Like he would just roll first and it'd be a 6, and so a guy would take off a person. He'd roll a 6, guy would take off a person. He'd roll a 5, then my buddy would roll a 5. I mean, it was. I only think 1 or 2 other times have I seen somebody get more upset than my friend got playing board games.
I can see that.
He was livid. It was funny,
well,
but
I'm going to say, since he was doing the whole turtle strategy in Australia, I'm going to say he deserved it. I know it's a bold statement, but he deserved
yes
it.
and no, but it's different in Risk Legacy because you can't really turtle the whole 15 games in Australia.
But he was trying to. That's when the karma just hit him. If you're trying to do that strategy, you're gonna lose 30 dudes in India. That's just the way it is.
But it's a good strategy at the same time because you keep getting those extra guys and you get the points if you own a continent. And there's have you played a full game of Risk Legacy?
I've played a bunch of games of Risk Legacy. We've probably
I'm saying a full board.
No, not a full board. No.
See, there's certain rules and certain things that happen in Risk. There's certain advantages you get if you own certain countries and certain continents and certain cities and stuff like that. And so, like, I understand like a normal Risk turtling is no bueno, but like in Risk Legacy, I get it. Believe me, I've played it enough. I've done every strategy. I get it.
Somebody should have ripped the Australia card in half, is what I'm trying to say.
Don't do that, man.
Isn't that one of the options, though? Like, if you win, you're allowed to, like, rip a card in half?
Yes, but if you have, like, 4+ coins on those cards...
Exactly! That's what the rule's there for.
I would never play Risk Legacy with you knowing that you would do that, just because those cards are so powerful. The fact that... You know how much time it takes to put all those coins on a card, and you would rip that away from me? Like, no.
That's the reason that mechanic is in the game.
You're such a horrible person for even thinking that. Because, like,
dude, could you imagine? Like, okay, so Rob, so each game you get to put a coin on a card if you lose, right?
If you survive, yeah.
If you survive, you get to put a coin on a card to make a specific area more powerful. So, you've played several games and you survived enough, and you keep putting these coins on like the place that's your home starting area that you picked, which people can jump in and steal those from you, right? You just get a better bonus if you're there. And then it's like, oh, hey Rob, I won, so guess what I'm gonna do?
I would take my game and I would leave. Well, because here's the thing, like when it gets to 4+, there are certain things that have to happen for you to have that many coins on a card, and if there's none of those, if there's no four or more coin cards, you won't be able to open up all the packages. So like whether it's my area or your area, if I see you're starting to get 4 or more, I'll let you have like 1 or so
just to open up the pack.
Yeah, because the pack, especially the 4 coin pack, it makes a huge difference in the game. It actually really does. It's a big deal.
It'd still be worth it just to see Rob go. I'm just kidding.
Well, you'd have to beat me first, and this is a game.
Dude,
this is a game I'm pretty good at.
When we played, I lost a lot. I think the very last game we played, I won, and that was the last time we ended up playing, which is really sad. But yeah, I lost that game a lot.
You're saying people quit after you beat them? Huh.
I don't know why. But yeah,
you win a lot.
What do you think, Matt? There any combats you can recollect?
Yeah, man. We played that X-Men Mutant Revolution game.
Oh yeah.
That's right. And your one shit was.
It came down to final combat, and Roy and Trevor they put their big hero guys in. So they fought with Wolverine and Jean Grey, I think. And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna use Cyclops. And
wasn't he Magneto?
Oh yeah, he was Magneto. That's right. And I just put Danger in, just a girl with a gun. Just
robot girl with a gun.
Robot girl with a gun. And it wasn't even close. Like, I just had so many advantages on her, and then only rolled 5s and 6s, and it was just sad.
I remember Trevor saying, "Man, I'm rolling good, but I'm not rolling that good."
Yeah,
that is ridiculous.
I think it was only like 2 rolls did I get anything that was less than a 4.
He would roll like several 5s, and you'd just be like 6, 6, 6, 6. It's just like,
yep. And it's like, and the thing is, I'm not rolling like 2 die. I was rolling like a small handful of die at a time, and they would just all come up that way, and I'm just like, hee. And
I felt bad. Like I was hoping he was gonna take you out, so I didn't have to face you, but you just like knocked us both out of the game, just like that.
Yeah,
it's a fun game.
I had a lot of fun with it because it's, I don't know, it adds like a layer of complexity in that, like the board itself has little tiles that you move around to, and it's closer to like D&D style movement than it is like regular board game movement where you're well, this is a province and that's a province, and you're like, well, I need to strategically move this way because this guy can attack at diagonals, and that guy's got like range 4.
I also like in the game how there's a semi-AI to the game. Like when you're doing those missions before the final battle, like that guy in the middle or that object in the middle kind of has its
it has
own
a lot
mechanics.
of combat in the game, but it's not always just combat against each other, which is what Spartacus is. You're just fighting each other all the time. In this game,
it's like right there in the show.
You're actually fighting against random deranged mutant or a bunch of sentinels or Mr. Sinister blowing everybody up.
Yeah, that was some.
So, yeah, that's awesome, man.
It was fun.
Awesome. So, do we have time for a question of the week?
We better.
Maybe.
Do we have a question of the week?
Yeah, let me go find it.
Well, while you do that, should we mention the contest?
Oh, yes, definitely. So we had a contest. Matt is the best. We had a contest for One Night Ultimate Werewolf Daybreak, and our winner is Jeff Reed. Congratulations. Hashtag sign my copy.
That's right,
ever.
buddy.
So we'll be getting that out to you as soon as I can get.
We'll sign it on Friday.
Matt and Rob's beautiful signatures on there.
Do you have a Sharpie?
Yeah, I'm gonna get like a silver one. So
boom. Well, yeah, because the box is pretty dark.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I have a bunch of Sharpies, but they're like, I don't think I have a silver one.
Well, you may also want to get a black one just as a backup because Emerson signed my Spectre Ops with a silver one, and the box is pretty dark, but it doesn't come out very well.
Nice. We'll make sure it looks beautiful for you, Jeff.
We will, Jeff. Congratulations. We appreciate you. You're handsome. Handsome man.
So, Scottishbury, B-R-Y, I don't know how to say it exactly, on Instagram asks, what board games would be your choice to play in a competitive tournament-style play? Like if you were to play an actual board game competitively.
Like for money?
Not really for money, but like Gen Con and all that stuff has a lot of different tournaments. There's like Sellers of Catan tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Could you guys imagine a Twilight Imperium tournament?
It would take a week.
We started it a month ago.
And exactly. It's like it lasts all year long. Like no thanks. I'm good.
I would love to play Game of Thrones in a tournament style. That would be so much fun. I love that game in general, or even now Blood Rage with that, because it both of those games, they're not just combative, but you are playing the other people. There's a lot of social deduction, and especially Tournament, when you're playing competitively, not just on a Friday night, but when you're playing where there's something at stake, when people get nervous, they don't handle things properly and they make a lot of mistakes, and I like to capitalize on that. And man, like those two games, I have to be able to be deceptive and truthful at the same time, and I have to see how you react to me doing certain things. And I mean, like we were talking about Blood Rage with the Loki card, or on Game of Thrones, where I'm not going to attack you, bro, we're good. And then I flip over my thing, and I'm full on attack, you're dead. Like, I love it. Those would be my top two right now. My gosh, that would be so amazing.
I've played in a ton of like CCG tournaments and LCG types tournaments, and a lot of those games like work really good because they're like super short. Like they're not very long, like 30 minutes, like maybe less than an hour to play any of those games. So like playing like a full board game, like most board games are an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours long. So like I don't know if I could play the same game over and over that many times, but if there was like a one night Ultimate Werewolf tournament, that would be amazing.
Yeah. We would make sure you were out the first round.
But here's the thing about tournaments.
If you were the werewolf.
Here's the thing about tournaments. You play with completely random people all the time that you don't know.
I would walk by your table and say, that guy.
I would be like, Judge, get robbed, Judge. But yeah, like that would be awesome. Like 10 minutes, like all the winners get to go and play more, and it's like sometimes you're werewolf, sometimes you're a villager, sometimes you're the tanner. How do you like make it onto the tournament? I'm sure I get kicked out super quick because regardless, people still like that guy. He's talking too much, or he's not talking enough, or whatever. We need to take him out. But it would still it would be short. And that would be awesome to play in a tournament like that.
You know how you can like rent out like the Jumbotron at different events and like says like, hey, Matt loves Roy kind of thing. I would rent it out and saying
Roy's the werewolf?
Rent it out. Yes. Don't trust Roy Kennedy. He's the bad guy.
I'm glad you would go that far to sabotage me in a tournament, Rob. I'm glad.
How many times have you beaten us? How many times have you beaten us? And it's because you're so freaking good.
I was saying, I probably lose.
Shadows over Camelot.
I lose just as much as I win, but when I win, it hurts.
It hurts so bad because you're such a nice trader. Hey guys, I'll help you out. Like you're too
we gotta
nice.
work together and make this thing happen. But yeah,
anyway,
anything that's super short like that, like I had like a little mini like at my house con thing, and we did like a love letter tournament. It was like we just played love letter, and I didn't actually play in it. I just ran it and just matched all the people up, and like they played, and whoever won, those people got grouped together. We also had a Looping Louie tournament, which was awesome. Because we only had one version of the game, so whenever you weren't like being paired up against other people, everyone was just watching the Looping Louie madness. And this was when I had like 15 people over, so like 4 dudes playing the game, 11 dudes watching them play the game. It was pretty chaotic. So the Looping Louie tournament was a lot of fun. What do you think you would like to play, Matt, in a tournament? I don't know. Have you done like tournaments of like gaming at all? I mean, I know you've done like online stuff.
I used to play competitive TF2 for a while. And having said that, if I wanted to be competitive in any way, shape, or form, I would pick a game that I don't like. Because when you get into that competitive nature, you ruin whatever you play.
Yeah, it can kind of ruin it for you.
It destroys it. But that being said, if it was just like, hey, I think I'm okay at this, and just for fun, it would probably be like Blood Rage, One Night Ultimate Werewolf would be another good one.
Your game would be Rex.
Rex is so long. It's so long.
The other two that I can think of that I think would be really fun, although they're both pretty time consuming, would be Dead of Winter or Battlestar Galactica.
Both Matt wants to do Race for the Galaxy tournament.
Fun
You'd
game.
Lose.
Fun
You'd
game.
Lose.
I would lose.
I would lose. I would lose bad.
But yeah, I mean, I think Dead of Winter or Battlestar Galactica would be pretty fun because they're social deduction games, and not only that, you can eliminate people really fast because everybody can lose. So
nice.
Good times.
Good stuff. Good question.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. So if anybody else has any questions, feel free to hit us up on our Instagram or email us at epicgamingnight at gmail.com. So you can hit us up with questions there. Also, make sure to check out our live streams. We stream the podcast on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Twitch, and that's at twitch.tv/epicgamingnight. But yeah, I guess this has pretty much been a podcast, guys.
Oh, hey, if anybody is going to MaceCon in Charlotte, North Carolina, November 14th, we will be there Saturday, November 14th. Hit us up on Instagram or Twitter or something like that. And we would love to see you, say hi, pass out some buttons, and just meet a fan. Let our wives and our future wives know how much people like us.
And we've already talked to Steve Avery. We're going to try to get into a game of Rubber Banditos.
Yes.
Hopefully we don't lose an eye.
And I hear his LinkedIn profile is pretty legit now.
If you were keeping tabs on that or were worried about that at all. We're actually going to have the...
you know what? I'm going to print it off and I'm going to bring it to him.
The guy who runs MaceCon is going to be on the podcast next week. We're going to talk about what it takes to set up a convention, how Mace got started, and what people need to know if they were like trying to like look into like convention setup stuff.
Ever maced?
Exactly. Where did the name come from? Does it mean like a actual like mace, like a
or like spray
priest use, or does it mean like cop mace?
It means Metropolitan Area Convention Expo.
Wow. Is that legit?
Hey, I'm mad and I know smart stuff.
I have no idea what it stands for.
But yeah, guys, hopefully we'll see you there.
Like legit.
And we'll definitely have buttons to give out. Buttons.
Yeah. Buttons. Button. Who got the button?
So we'll
Thank
see
you,
you guys.
Gamer, for the buttons.
Exactly. So yeah, definitely check out our sponsor, Analog Gamer. T-shirts are the best and most comfortable ever. And
they have tall sizes for anybody who's not 5'4".
And lady sizes if you don't happen to be male.
Hey.
Hey. Okie doke. See you guys later.
Goodbye. My internet.
Thanks for showing up. Peace.
Are you still going?
It's good. It's done. I didn't start it to like forever, so I had to wait until Matt